thinking of funders as partners, as people, and I think the panel was saying this earlier, that they're your partners, they have resources, they have knowledge. When you work with them and some of the other organizations that they fund, you build yourself into an ecosystem that becomes a lot easier to fund your work, right? As part of something that is part of a funder's priority, and where you find those alignments, right? Doing it in such a way that you're trying to retain your own creative vision, right? That you don't want to compromise that, but at the same time understanding where you align, and that's true for any stakeholder. I make no distinctions between the production and the distribution and the social impact. That now at this stage, I encourage filmmakers to think about that too. There was something that Benjamin Stokes said earlier today that I just thought was so brilliant, which is we have to reclaim assessment and make it part of the creative process, right? And that's how we're going to grow the field and improve upon the field. So this is a project that I've been working with for the last year, essentially pro bono. They have not yet paid me. But because I believe in them, and I know that we're going to do incredible things with this film, I've been putting my time, my energy, and my effort into helping them produce. Now, when they made this Kickstarter video, first of all, they not only raised $75,000 and met their goal, they raised $100,000, okay? And the reason why they were able to do that is just look at this video. It lays out a beautiful story, what the potential is. They demonstrate that they are filmmakers who have the power, that are credible filmmakers who have made a great film that has the power to actually change lives. So they know they have the ability to do this. They've done it before, and they're asking people to join them on this journey again, right? And they had a really clear goal of like, we need to edit this thing. So that's like Kickstarter 101, lay out what your vision is, show what you're capable of, bring people on the journey with you, have them believe in you, and give them a tangible thing that they're going to be creating with you, not some like general whatever, like I want you to put toward my campaign. This was for edit. We were so early in the process. They were in early production when I started working with them on this project. We were not really able to get funding from social impact campaign funding at that stage because, frankly, one, you don't know what the film is going to turn out to be, but also the funding community isn't kind of in the place yet of thinking about doing the work in this kind of way, right? This is relatively new. People coming on, impact producers coming on to projects at the pre-production or the production stage. So what we've been able to do is do a little bit of proof of concept, essentially. We spent a year working together. We've now finally gotten a small amount of money for the first stage of the impact campaign that I've, essentially is going to pay me back for the last year of work that I've done for free, and do a few other things. And the BritDoc Foundation has selected the project for Good Pitch Chicago and will be the first project pitching in front of a panel of other people. So this was part of a strategy of how we would use the impact to think about, to be able to position ourselves, to fund the production, to get to a point where funders would feel comfortable with funding the impact, right? And it's taken a year-long process. So this is an issue that's still ongoing, right? It's an ongoing social issue. It's not ending. This is a real thing. I do think, however, that there have been a number of films that have come out that have been around veterans issues, right? A number of films. We could list them, Where Do Soldiers Come From, Hell and Back Again, Invisible War. There's just a number of them. And I think that to some extent, for the media funders, this is an issue that's kind of saturated for them, right? So getting the support for production funding for this film, especially when it was in the earlier stages and we were really thinking through what is the story here and what angle are we trying to bring to this, was really tough. Because people had already, I think a lot of funders had felt like, I've funded this movie, right? And so that year that we spent developing, working together, thinking about the impact of what this film could do really helped us shape the story. Thinking through those issues of like, what can the impact of this be? Driven by the the limitations that Benjamin was talking about earlier, right? Those kinds of creative things that we knew we were going to run up against really helped us think through a different kind of strategy for impact, a way to think about the story differently, and to connect with an audience in such a way that we were able to raise $100,000 toward the production on our own.